Welcome to True North Perspective. My name is Sean. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing the reaction of Donald Trump to the ongoing conflict between Iran and Israel. To be honest, I am quite baffled and mind boggled at his reaction and his game plan. You would think that a person in his position would want peace for his own country, for countries around him, and would want the world to operate, smoothly. But it doesn't seem like that's what he's in for. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at an article that was published recently by Wall Street Journal or WSJ outlining what he had told his aides about the war. We're going to look at his reaction and break it down. But like I said, honestly, I am personally baffled. I am shocked at what his reaction is. So let's get right into the content and let's take a look at the article that was recently published by Wall Street Journal. And here it is. And you can see here, it says, and again, this is very recent, 5:34 p.m. Eastern Time. It was literally like 20 minutes ago. Trump has privately approved attack plans for Iran, but has withheld final order. As the conflict between Iran and Israel continues, President Trump is considering multiple options, including a U.S. strike on Iran. President Trump told senior aides late Tuesday that he approved of attack plans for Iran, but was holding off to see if Tehran would abandon its nuclear program. People familiar with the deliberation said Iran's well-defended Fordo enrichment facility is a possible U.S. target. It is buried under a mountain and generally considered by military experts to be out of reach of all but the most powerful bombs. Asked earlier if he had decided whether to strike at Iran's nuclear facilities, Trump said, "I may do it, I may not do it." Freaking wow. All right. And he repeated his instance of Iran's unconditional surrender. The next week is going to be a very big, maybe less than a week. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei earlier said his country wouldn't surrender and warned any U.S. military intervention would bring irreparable consequences. The U.S. military has built up forces in the Middle East in recent days. A third U.S. Navy destroyer entered the Eastern Mediterranean Sea, and a second U.S. carrier strike group is heading towards the Arabian Sea. While the Pentagon said the military buildup is purely defensive, it better positions the U.S. should Trump decide to join Israeli attacks on Iran. It could also be a tactic. It could also be a tactic to pressure Iran to capitulate or make concessions. Israel and Iran have continued to exchange fire. And the death toll in Iran rose about 450, according to Human Rights Group. In Israel, 24 people have died as a result of Iranian strikes. What else to know? I think one of the most important things here is this one here. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel is advancing step by step toward eliminating Iran's nuclear program and its ballistic missiles. This is... You wouldn't think that a president of the United States, a world leader, would be teeter-tottering like this on such an urgent and such a situation that is, that needs attention very, very quickly. Let's just go back a step here. He comes back from the G7 and he decides that, this is not priority. What's priority is putting up 2 flagpoles, which make absolutely no sense and will not help in any situation. Secondly, he constantly contradicts himself. He claimed that, he was going to, he's looking for a peace agreement, is looking, to use diplomacy, but that's not the case. Sometimes he says that he's not going to attack, sometimes he says he's going to attack. So which one is it? Right? Which one is it? This is not a game. This is not Monopoly or Risk or anything like this. These are people's lives. These are people's lives. These are the lives of Israelis that are currently in Israel, and also those guys that are in Tehran. Right, who have totally, that are fighting back, that are not willing to surrender, but also have completely, their lives have completely been turned upside down. Why? Because of this imbecile's decision. Now, let's go back one more step again. Just remember, folks, again, don't let this get out of sight. There was a nuclear deal, a nuclear agreement in place when Obama was in office. It was signed. It was going well. There was inspections happening and everything was fine. This turd gets into the office and he rips it up, not because he had a better agreement, but because his ego, because he thought, I'll come in and I'll restructure something that's going to be a lot better. The classic example here is that he's done this to many deals. He's doing it to his own USMCA deal with the tariffs ever since he's joined office, guys. And again, I'm talking to you here. This is not scripted. This is directly from my heart to you guys. I'm voicing my frustration and my anger because the world is burning. Right? The world is completely burning. Anyways, without digressing too much, he did the same thing with the USMCA tariffs, right? He ripped up his old agreement, and he was so stupid because he said, oh, whoever wrote this agreement or whoever came up with this agreement was very stupid. And you can go and fact check that and you'll see it. Imagine, the President of the United States is calling his own agreement stupid. And today, I don't know what he was doing. He was in the yard or in the White House's garden and putting up two flagpoles, which are not going to make a difference in any shape or form. And he's completely ignoring the issue that is at hand, the most urgent issue. And let's take a look at his, very quickly look at his reaction to all of this, and the journalist asking questions. And again, if this doesn't baffle you, if this doesn't worry you, I don't know what planet you live on. But let's take a quick look here. It's amazing. It's frustrating. The world is completely falling apart, and Donald Trump is playing games here. It's unfathomable. Honestly, it is really unfathomable. So let's take a look at it. This was one of his first reactions. There it is, in this very short video.
Are moving closer, or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities. Where's your mindset on that?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question? Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before all this death and destruction? Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? You could have done fine. You would have had a country. It's very sad to watch this. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's so, everyone thought it was going to be the reverse. I didn't think so. And I was telling them, you got to do something. You got to negotiate. And at the end, last minute, they said, no, we're not going to do that. And they got hit. Remember 60 days? And then came the 60. 61 is going to become a very famous number. That was one hell of a hit, that first hit. That was one hell of a hit. Not sustainable, to be honest. That's where it ended. It ended on the first night, yes.
You saw the reaction for yourself. You absolutely saw the reaction for yourself. The reporter, and for those that may not have been able to hear clearly, the reporter asks him, is the U.S. moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities? And he says, I may do it, I may not do it. Does that sound like a real leader to you? I don't think so. Nobody knows what I'm going to do, right? And then he's actually turning around and asking those poor construction workers, oh, you know what? Look at what they're asking here. What time is it going to happen? The reason he's not answering is because he himself doesn't know, right? He's under pressure, and I think this all comes down to, and a lot of rumors are flying, and I'm pretty sure that, they're not just rumors, but Israel, has something on Donald Trump. There's no doubt in my mind, right? We all know that he was best friends with Epstein. Epstein, had a connection with the Mossad, and I would not be surprised that they had, a copy of the files and they knew what he was doing. It's simple as that. Let's look at his other reactions here, and again, you're going to be, very surprised as to what you're seeing. This is his typical reaction, right? This is his typical reaction. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Look at this is what's happening. This is just, from a couple of hours ago, a day ago, but you can see here for yourself. It's unbelievable, guys. It is unbelievable. And if you want an idea of what type of people he's looking to defend right now, look at this video here. A non-Jewish woman that is currently in Israel right now, and when she tries to enter the bunker, she is stopped because she's not Jewish. And take a look here.
И сказали, у нас нету места. Вот такая вот солидарность израильская.
תפתחו דלת בבקשה. מה? לא, זה לא בסדר. אתה לא בסדר.
And you can see a very clear woman until we denied entry to bunker. And she's not Jewish. They told us we're not obligated to let you in. There's not enough space. So much Israel solidarity, she says. This is just absolutely, bonkers. I just don't understand what is happening here. And let's look at a quick video before we do, end the video here. And this is of him in a press conference just recently.
I think they wish they signed it now. It was a fair deal. And now it's a harder thing to sign, It's a lot of water over the dam. But, it's I say it very simply. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. Too much devastation. And they'd use it. I believe they'd use it. Others won't use it, but I believe they'd use it. So that's it. It's very simple as far as I'm concerned. They can't have a nuclear weapon.
All right, so let me end by saying this, that he's completely incorrect here. We've been hearing the same rhetoric from many different presidents that since 1995, Iran has been very close to nuclear weapons, and it is absolutely not true. Again, I'm going to reiterate the fact here that when Obama had placed the agreement, that there were inspectors going in to check to make sure everything was going well, and everything was fine. It was Donald Trump that actually destroyed the agreement himself. There is a bunch of false narratives that are going around that Israel is very close to destroying nuclear weapons, and that is not true, because if that was true, they wouldn't be coming and begging the U.S. to get into to help them with bigger bombs, right? Number two, the narrative from the U.S. from Israel has changed multiple times. It was, the first time it was, oh, they have a nuclear capability and they're after us, Israel, that is, and they're gonna annihilate us. Second, it was, oh, you know what, they're gonna assassinate Donald Trump, right? The third one was, oh, they're now basically they're going to the plan is to the regime itself is very bad, right? It's an oppressive regime. We need to get rid of it, and this is the reason. So which reason is it? Why are you going after Iraq, right? In the meantime, the other thing that we should not let get out of focus is what's happening in Gaza, and we're gonna take a look at that in a different video, to be honest. But it is a dire situation that they're luring people into these sites that are set up by the states and by Israel, and they're asking people to come and get aid from there. And as they're coming in, they're getting bombarded or shot. And these pictures are heartbreaking, honestly. To see kids lying on the ground with a bullet in their chest, it's not right. It's disgusting. It is appalling, and I'm urging everybody to speak up against this. I'm urging everybody to speak to the members of parliament, to their leaders, to their heads, to put a stop to this. I'm urging my American friends to continue standing up to a tyrant like Donald Trump. Right, get him out of office, because he is walking into another war. This is Bush second time around. We were tricked when they went to Iraq and said there was weapons of mass destruction, and there was nothing there, and now this is again happening, right? So we are all entitled to peace. We're all entitled to enjoying our lives. We're all entitled to live and let others live, but Donald Trump doesn't want to do that. And again, let's consider, what does Israel actually have on Donald Trump that he's capitulating like this? We'll discuss a lot more of that in my next videos. I urge you guys to, again, speak up. Don't stay silent. The world is in chaos, and they need us. They need our voices. Although you're far away, there's a lot you can do. I will see you in the next video. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'm getting much better at this. My rhetoric is getting a little better, my communication. I'm getting there, and I really do appreciate your support. So once again, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment, please. It does help with the algorithm. Let's try and get to 10,000 subscribers as soon as possible, and I'll see you in the next video.